Hey everybody, and welcome to Stamping Unique Scrapbook Patterned Backgrounds. I don't even know what I remember exactly what I named this specifically. I like the name. But we are going to create our own patterned paper today with some stamps. This is one of my absolute favorite techniques. I do it constantly. It is so versatile. You can do it with one stamp set, you can do it with all the stamp sets, you can do it with one color, you can do it with all the colors. So this is one from the Ali Edwards Open kit. This is one from a Laura Wansick stamp set. This is some Everyday Explorers arrows. I really like the two different colors on this one. And this is one of, these are my two alphabet sets, the outline and the fill-in. So I absolutely love creating these patterned papers out of our own stamps. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to teach you how to figure this out on your own, because it's a really, really fun and easy project to do. So one of the easiest ways to do this is with a shapes stamp set. If you do not have a shapes stamp set, we have an awesome shapes stamp set in the shop. That is, I think, linked in the description below. If not, you can use any stamp set. You can use words, you can use shapes, you can use flowers, you can use whatever. We're going to use shapes today because they are the easiest to illustrate, and honestly, I just love colors and shapes. So I'm going to grab a piece of, this is deli paper. I use this underneath my pages when I'm stamping so that I can stamp off the page. So we are going to create our own patterned background, and the things that we need for that are stamp set, shapes, and then we need to decide, well, what is this going to look like? So I'm going to use some hexagons. So let's pull out the big hexagon and the hexagon outline, and we're going to make a stamp, we're going to make our patterned background with these hexagons. So the next thing we have to decide is what colors. So I've got some Concord and 9th inks here. These are my warm colors. And I've also got my cool colors here. So I'm going to pick out a couple of colors that coordinate, and then we're going to be off and creating our pattern. I'm going to pick this really bright pink because it matches the shirt that I'm wearing today. I'm going to pick this marmalade. Let's go now with, how about buttercup? And then let's pick a fun green too. I really like juniper. Yeah, juniper. And then we'll go with blueberry and fig. Ah, yes. Oh, that just makes me feel, that makes me so happy. Just seeing all those colors together just makes me, oh, I love rainbows. So there's a couple different things that we can do. We have our little outline stamps. We can outline in different colors, and we can stamp in different colors to create an interesting mixed pattern, which I think is what we are going to do. We can take black ink. This black VersaFine is my absolute favorite. This, if you only have one ink pad, it is this ink pad. So we could take the black ink and stamp black hexagons and then fill them in, and that's fun. But I think we're going to play more with these colors. And so what I like to do when I am doing this is, and you know what, I think the camera's tilted a little bit. Let me fix it real quick. Okay, that should be better. The first thing we do is we put the colors in the order we're going to use them. So there we go. And this is very important on certain patterns and less important on other patterns. So let's grab, I'm going to use these two stamps, and you know what, when you're making patterns, it's really nice to have extra clear blocks. So I have a couple of clear blocks here, so I'm going to use my square for that one and use my rectangle for this one. This way I don't have to switch them back and forth. So we have our two stamps. We're going to just start making a pattern. And we'll go with this dragon fruit. Ooh, open please. Open, please. Dragon fruit does not want to open. There we go. Ah, yes, this is a color that is going to stain your ink pads, which is okay. So we get some, and we'll just start in this corner, just, you know, putting the hexagons where you think they should go. Wherever feels good to you. And we're going to mix in a color, a full solid one. And we'll go back to this shape. Kristen, how are you holding these? There we go. And let's do this one here. Let's do one more solid one. And you'll see your pattern, you know, start to form. So I'm going to grab a washcloth real quick. I'm going to grab my microfiber cleaning cloth from over here. As you can see, it is lots of pretty colors. And also a lot of black. I do a lot of black stamping. So I'm going to take my spray bottle and just wet this a little bit. And I really like these microfiber cloths. They don't ever get anything on the stamp. And because of the little ridges, they clean inside intricate stamps really well. So, as you can see, this did tint my stamp a little bit. But very, very lightly. And that's going to happen on a bunch of different red colored inks. So, we've used this color. Oh, I didn't clean this one. There we go. Wipe that out. And it's less important to wipe your stamps perfectly clean when you're going from a light color to a dark color. It's very important to do it when you are going from a dark color to a light color. So we're going to do our orange now. And you can see, like, this is not perfect. I am not aiming for perfection. Otherwise, I would not be stamping. If I wanted to create a perfect patterned paper background, I would use Canva. So this is not supposed to be perfect. This is just supposed to be a thing that you created with your two hands. So we're going to leave that there. We're going to grab this. And you can use, again, you can use any kind of shapes. You can use any kind of colors. You can fill up the entire page like I did on almost all of the other ones I showed you earlier. Or you could just fill up a piece of the page, because we're going to create a pattern today that I don't think is going to fill up every single thing on the paper. So that's that. Now I'm going to clean these so we can get them to the yellow, which is, it's really important to clean anytime you're going to go into a yellow ink, because the yellow inks take up the other colors so much more. It's because you can't see it on the other colors, but you don't want to look at your yellow ink pad and be like, why is it dirty? So, Buttercup. And I'm going to do a solid, actually. The solid is going to go right here. Cool. So now let's ink this up. This can go here. Do the same thing. That's going to go there. Here. Here. And if it's important to you that everything is closer together or more neat, you are absolutely free to do that. Make it as neat as you want. There are some patterns that I really care about the neatness and how far things are apart from each other. And then there are other patterns where, like this one, it's just going to look cool no matter what, because we're making a rainbow across the page. So it's going to look fantastic. So I'm going to add one more of these down here. Well, actually, like, you should stamp off the page. So what I just did, where the stamp comes and it goes off the line, that makes it look a lot more like patterned paper. So we're going to clean these up and we're going to grab our juniper. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. I will answer them. Might take me a couple seconds because the computer is now behind me. So, like, and this is the one thing about pattern building that's really fun, is that you do not, like, this does not have to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect. You don't have to decide anything in advance. Especially when you're learning. We're going to put a solid there. Especially when you are learning. Just play. It's so much fun to create patterns with new stamps that you get, and it's just a part of play. The purple might actually come over here, and we might wind up filling this whole page. Because creating these patterned paper backgrounds, I love doing this so much. It gets me to touch all of my supplies. I'm using so many of these ink colors. I'm using so many stamp sets because I can just, you know, have fun and create a patterned background. I did not do the juniper. Solids. So we're going to put that blue down. Blueberry can go over there, and we'll take juniper out. We'll do a few juniper solids. Here we go. This is here. And now we'll put a blue here. I should probably do some more green up there. We'll see. The other fun thing about patterns is that you can always come back to the colors and be like, actually, this color needs to go here. Yeah, so let's actually, we're going to have less blue, less green in here, and that's okay. Solid's going to go there. And solid's going to come here. So we can also put that here. And I'm going to put the purple now on the other side. So let's clean this up. Clean the stamp, clean the stamp. I'm going to clean the green one so I can use the blue. Oh, great question. How long do the stamps dry for? These will dry instantly, like literally 5 seconds. And that's one of the reasons I really like these Concord and 9th dye ink stamps, is that they dry super fast. If you're using pigment inks, they are going to take a little bit longer to dry. But these Concord and 9th ones, they dry really, really fast. And if you need a pigment ink that will dry quickly, I highly recommend these VersaFine Clairs. They come in amazing colors. They are a pigment ink, and they dry very, very, very quickly. So you do not have to worry about leaving your projects to dry, which is, you know, with doing daily pages, it's really important because I don't want to be waiting an hour for my ink to dry so I can put it in my daily pages book. No, we don't want to do this. I think we are going to wind up adding more juniper up here, though. So we'll grab our, and we'll just go in here. And go in here. And now we're going to put our purple over here. I'm looking at this and seeing if I want to add other things in other places. Like, we could use another solid juniper here. And I'm going to pull this off so I can stamp off the page. There we go. And then we'll probably put another yellow there. Maybe a yellow here. And I think I'll put a solid orange there. So let's do that actually right now. So when you get to your pattern being about 80% done, you'll be like, oh, this should be there and this should be there. Unless you have, you know, regimented it out so you know exactly where everything is supposed to go. There we go. You can just fill stuff in. Because again, you're playing, you're figuring it out. You are learning. So much of this is about, you know, learning where you like things, learning where things go so it's aesthetically pleasing to you, learning how to use your materials. So let's put this up here. Probably do something up there. Oh yeah, I can add a bunch more yellow. We're going to add a bunch more of this because we're just actually going to wind up filling up this whole pattern. And I'm not worried about this page so much because when I cut the pages, this will get cut off for me in my daily pages. So knowing what sizes of paper that you're using is also really helpful. So I really like this half size, which is half of an 8.5 by 11. So it's 8.5 by 5.5. And the notebooks that I use are 5.5 tall, so I always make sure that the top is covered. And the sides are going to get cut off a little bit. So let's actually pull up dragon fruit a little bit. Dragon fruit doesn't want to open again. There we go. And this will go here. And we'll do one more. And then we'll get the purple in there. Fig. All right, any questions about ink or any of the things that I have done so far? Just throw them in the chat and I'll make sure to get them answered for you. All right, we're gonna pull fig out now. And where do we want this? Yeah, let's just put a big purple fig right here. And then we'll put it also down here. Like that might wind up getting cut off, but that's okay too. And now I'm gonna do almost everything else is gonna be with this. So let's get in here. Let's get in here. 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 And you know what? I know that part's gonna get cut off, so I'm not really worried about it. And so I just want to fill in a couple tiny little pieces. And I think we need the outline for the blue. It's going to get cut off, so actually you don't even need to. So we'll just do the solid. And we want a solid green. And we'll do a solid yellow and a solid green. All right, Buttercup. Where'd you go? Up here. Okay. Looks a little different. Did I leave too much ink on the stamp? I don't think I cleaned it enough. And then there was some purple on it. This is why we clean our stamps. So that's fine. It'll just be a little bit of an extra different color. One, a 7th color in one spot. So we're just going to go back to this juniper real quick and fill out this bottom part. And then we'll be done with our first patterned paper. And while also it might not look amazing right now, it will look so cool when we chop it down and put it into our books. Or you use it as, an 8.5, a layout topper. So like that's a really fun, and it's always fun with shapes because sometimes the way that you stamp them in the first place is not the way that you want it to go in your book. So like I would take one of these books and grab this one. And like, is this the one that I'm using right now? Yes, it is. This is the one that I'm using right now. This is another patterned paper that I created with some stamps, which are really fun. So I would take this and then I'm going to have to cut off a bunch of this. So I'm going to be cutting off some of the blue and some of the purple. And then if I decide, you know what, actually I really want the purple, I don't actually care about the blue so much, which is probably not the case because I think it'd be a little bit weird if it had no blue and went from green to purple. Or I want to go over here. You can see where your pattern fits best into your book and decide where to make the cuts. Because you can always cut it down the middle, trim around the outside, trim around the outside. You can push it to the side. Then you have this piece, you have this piece, and then you have this little bit of extra. So whatever you decide, you can always, I always think it's better to create your pages, the scrapbook patterned paper that you're trying to make when you're stamping patterns. I always try to make it a little bit bigger than what I know I'm going to need for my finished size, because it really does help a lot when you're going to just cut this off here and you're going to cut this off here. It's going to look really great. So, any questions about this? I don't see any questions. So I am going to share one more demonstration, and I'm going to do it on the same white cardstock because I love just stamping on white cardstock with different colors. And you can create patterned paper that just doesn't actually have a repeating pattern. It just has a pattern. So let's pull out this circle, and we'll pull out the outline, and we'll pull out the small one. Actually, we're going to put the outline back. So your your patterns don't have to be in any specific what's the word that I want to use? Your patterns don't have to exist in any particular way. You can just create these backgrounds with whatever stamps that you have. And so if you have shapes and you love the way that the shapes connect and you love creating little, abstract art, awesome. You can also use words and create some really great word art. Let's see, is there any other ones in here that I could show you? Yep, this is a great stamped background because I just needed some extra space. This is another one that's not a repeating background. It doesn't repeat in any different way, but I just took all of my stamps, my snowflake stamps, and stamped them on this blue cardstock. So there's lots of different ways for you to create patterns with stamps that isn't just a same repeating pattern over and over and over again. All right, I am going to create a little pattern with these circle stamps. So let's do the same thing. We're going to put this big one here. I've got the little one on here. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take the other stamp and we're going to flip the block around. This is an easy trick. If you have more stamps than stamp blocks, you can just use the other side. You might get some stamp ink on you if you are not cleaning them. So make sure you clean your blocks and that you don't get the stamp ink on yourself. And then you can just use both sides. Let's pull out for this, let's pull out some blues and greens. All right, we have juniper, parsley, peacock, blueberry, and midnight. Cool, we're just gonna go with these, I think. Yeah, let's go with these. These are gonna be our colors for today. These are our circle colors. And so when we have 5 inks here, and I'm not going to put them in any specific order because I'm just going to stamp them around. We have 5 inks and 3 stamps. So I'm going to take this stamp into the parsley and just find it a few homes. 1, 2, 3. Let's say that. And then from here, I start to work in clusters. So I'm going to leave the parsley over there. I'm going to grab another color and use the large stamp first. And because we are using 5 colors and not, we're not just matching up one color to one stamp, I'm going through the colors and using the large stamp first so that I know how much room I have around my paper. And I'm going to grab my deli paper again. We're going to stick it under here. And I'm going to stamp off the page here. So we use the large stamps first so that we are not struggling to find room for our large stamps later on. All right, now I have blueberry. And there's no, there's no special rule of how many times you should stamp something somewhere. I really like doing odd numbers of things and finding little triangles. That's super appealing to me. So I generally will do things in sets of 3, unless I know it needs to be more or less. But 3 seems to work for me. So I'm going to grab this peacock now, which is one of my favorite colors. This is one of my absolute favorites. Stick that there. And you'll start to see spots that need to be filled. So like this spot needs to be filled. We need to put something over here, this spot, and this spot. And your job is to just fill in the spots. All right, so we did this peacock. Put that away. And the only one we haven't had now is Midnight. So Midnight's going to be a really dark navy, and I think it'll look good with this. So we'll go here. Yeah, this is fun. We'll go up here. And it's okay that there's a little bit more white space there because we still have multiple colors. Let's just do this here. We still have multiple colors, all 5 colors to do with our smaller stamps. So we did these. Great. Now I'm going to do the medium one. And we go from large to small because you're just going to get more space. And so I don't know if I have enough space to do 3 of each color. So I'm going to do 2. No, we'll have enough room. I'm going to do 2, or no, I'm going to do 3 rather, of each of these. And I'm trying to put them in places where they're not next to the big circle of the same color. Any questions about this one so far? I'm going to ink up the blueberry. What is my favorite white cardstock to stamp on? There's this cheap cardstock from Amazon that I got. That is actually my favorite. I did a paper test with some white paper, white cardstock a few years ago. I bought 3 or 4 different kinds of white cardstock, you know, a ream of each. And there is the Hammer Mill cardstock is amazing. It's fantastic. If I'm using a white background for like a base page, I will use that. But it is twice as expensive as the generic brand from Amazon, which worked just as well. I do not like the Nina bright white paper for stamping because, and this is going to sound silly, it's not white. It has a very yellow tone to it, especially when I compared it to the other two cardstocks that I had bought. So that's our 3 for that. And you'll start to see like, oh, maybe I needed more than 3 mediums. But also we're going to go through the smalls. And then we might just add more small, which is nice because you can just put it anywhere you want. All right. Do I make my own journals? I do sometimes, but I use Field Notes notebooks for my daily pages because they are easy. They come in all different colors. Oh, the covers do. And I find that size really, really, really easy to work with. We're just going to stick this up here too, because I want that to go there. Because like you'll start to see now as we're building the pattern that you might want some of a color somewhere. And so don't be like, oh no, I can't put 4 circles of the midnight if I don't have 4 circles of the peacock. Once the pattern is built, you will not notice. So we'll get this now in here, and we're going to start filling in some spots. Yeah, and so like I want some more green up here. I want some green here. So now I've done like 5 green, which is totally fine because we're going to go and switch to the tiny one now. We've got the tiny one. And we're going to go through our colors again. So we'll do juniper. And juniper can just, you know, sit in all the great places. And then we'll go move on to blueberry. I think we'll need some more juniper, but we'll move on to blueberry for now. And also, with your pattern, the entire page does not have to be filled. So let's get some blue up here. We can do some blue down here. We can do blue over here. All right, awesome. So let's move on to our next color, peacock. I'm going to grab that, see if there are any more questions. Am I just gluing my pages in the notebook? Yes. I just use my ATG gun and I cut out the pages and I put them in my notebook. There are times where I will stamp directly in my notebook, but only if I have cardstock on the page before, because all of my inks bleed through, and that's totally fine. If I was using really, really heavy paper from the get-go, then it wouldn't be great for a bunch of the other things that I do. Whether that's, you know, little journaling cards or cutting and pasting, you know, actual patterned paper that came from companies. So it doesn't bother me that I am stamping on cardstock instead of stamping in my notebook. And so if you want to stamp in a notebook, Everyday Explorers has some really great notebooks that you can stamp in. And if you want to bind your own journal, Kaylee at Get Messy is like really great at this. So I'm sure she has some kind of tutorials somewhere. I still have this big like piece here that needs to get filled in. And we're done with our colors. So you can see that there's a few white spaces, and I've filled in, you know, everything that I think is appropriate with the colors that we've used so far. So now we get to go back and say what belongs where. So let's get this medium one, because I think the medium one is going to go in here. And I think that we need a peacock in here a little bit. The peacock can go there. And let's put a peacock up here too. Because at this point, you know, sometimes you want to just finish the pattern. So you just create a little bit of stuff where it looks like it needs it. All right. That's good for peacock. Now we'll open up, I think we'll do juniper. And sometimes when you're adding, you know, at the end, and you're adding more stamps and you're adding, you know, more to your pattern to finish it out, pick the colors that are in the middle of your pattern, of your color palette, and you can use those with a lot more freedom, as opposed to using like the really dark blue or the really bright green. Those stand out a lot more. So if you are finishing up your project and you're just trying to add some color in, stick with some of the more middle of the road colors, because you'll be able to add more of those without it looking like it needs the space. All right, I think I'm pretty much done here. I'm really happy with this. So I am going to cover up my ink pad real quick. Make sure I'm covering the right ones. This is juniper. This is juniper. You can see my hands are already very inky. And so one of the other things that can happen with this is when you are creating patterns, you can smudge them because you get the ink on your hands, or because, as on here, you can see there's lots of ink left over on the block. So two things to do is just keep a rag by you and, you know, clean off the sides of your block as often as you can. And also just like clean off your hands, you know, just like keep the rag kind of moist. I know, slightly wet. And just, you know, clean your hands so that they don't have ink that's just going to immediately come off onto your patterned paper. So we have this patterned paper and we have this patterned paper, and you can create any kind of patterned paper that you want with your stamps. These are just very simple, basic shapes, which honestly are awesome because you can do all sorts of really cool different patterns with this basic shape set. Like I said, if you don't have a basic shape set, This is my stamp set, and it's available at theawesomeladiesproject.com/shop. And we do have free shipping and 20% off this weekend for National Scrapbook Day. So you can go and grab those and maybe a few of our other awesome stamps, like Daily Pages, Thursday 3 stamp. If you are a fan of the Crafty Ass Female podcast, this is an amazing stamp. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to make sure that we don't have any final questions. Actually, you know what? I think I can come over and switch my camera so that I can talk to you guys for a bit. Yes, that's me. Hi, everybody. All right, I'm going to look at the Q&A real quick. I see that Carrie has been handling the Q&A because Carrie's amazing. So thank you very much, Carrie. Round of applause for you. You are actually awesome. What other questions do we have? These are dye inks. Yes, they are dye inks. If you need a pigment ink, I recommend these VersaFine Clairs. They come in a bunch of really, really great colors. These are pigment ink, and they dry super fast. So I really like using these for making patterns as well. But honestly, I just got all those Concord and Ninth inks like last week, and I am still obsessed with them because there's so many great colors. So it's really fun to play with dye ink. It's really fun to play with pigment ink. You get to, experiment. And that's really all that, Daily Pages is all about, experimenting. And I create these patterns so that they can go in my Daily Pages. All right, do we have any other questions before we start to wrap up? Throw them in the chat and I will make sure to get them answered. If you are a Feminist Scrapbook School student, we have the clubhouse open all day today for National Scrapbook Day. So come in and hang out with us, make some stuff, and tell us what you bought. If you are not yet a member of Feminist Scrapbook School, or if you're not a member of the community, come to the Awesome Ladies Project community and join the free community. We have an amazing community. It is fantastic. And we just have some really great, amazing humans inside. So we have a free community. We have a free app. You can learn about Daily Pages. You can learn about Currently List. You can learn about Thursday 3, all of the different things that I do in our community. And then we also have our Feminist Scrapbook School membership, which is just fantastic. It is a place for you to learn how to tell your stories. It is a place for you to learn how to share the stories and understand the stories that you want to tell, and doing it all with pictures and paper and creative supplies and words and photos and the things that you really love to scrap. So thank you guys for being here. You should check out the new podcast episodes on Crafty Ass Female. So they are available wherever you watch podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, or at CraftyAssFemale.com. Those are some great new episodes for National Scrapbook Day. And everybody have an amazing rest of your National Scrapbook Day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and making some patterned paper. Talk soon.